Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin issuing a warning to workers about their eligibility for unemployment as states begin to reopen. Lauren Simonetti joins us with those details. Lauren.
Good afternoon, Charles. So an unintended consequence of this massive federal effort to shore up the economy during coronavirus is the collision of the payroll protection program that lends money to businesses and the CARES Act that is sending relief checks to out-of-work Americans. Those $600 checks on top of state unemployment are often greater than the paychecks workers receive when they are actually working. So consider this. We crunched some numbers. The average unemployment check last year was $370 a week. The average salary, $970 a week. So the Trump administration took the difference, $600, and they sent that amount to furloughed or laid off Americans to make them whole until July 31st. Here's the rub. That sum is more than what half of full-time workers make when they are actually working. Now, Democrats, Charles, want to keep that extra money flowing until January. Republicans say that's a problem for companies looking to hire back workers as states reopen. The Treasury Secretary has this warning.
If you offer back a worker and they don't take that job, you will be required to notify the local unemployment insurance agency because that person will no longer be eligible for unemployment.
Already, unemployment offices in states including Tennessee, Iowa, and Oklahoma have asked employers to report workers who refuse to return to work. Another potential solution is just giving people a smaller percent of their income while they're not working. But that might be difficult to actually tabulate as state unemployment offices are already under pressure. And tomorrow, under more pressure, we are expecting another 2.4 million Americans to file for jobless benefits, bringing the coronavirus total to just about 39 million Americans out of work. Charles, that's the reality that we're in, but you got to get people working again in the safest way possible.
Absolutely. Lauren, thank you very much. Joining us now to discuss former Arkansas governor and Fox News contributor Mike Huckabee. Governor, when the news was announced, I mean, this is one of the reasons some folks, some Republicans in Congress were worried about this program because obviously adding $600 on to so many people, it's a lot. I mean, people are making so much more money. They're upset at their employers for calling them back to work.
You know, Charles, the only people I know that get paid for not doing anything are fired coaches and members of Congress. The rest of us have to work in order to get the paycheck. And the worst thing we could do to any American worker is to start paying them more to not work than we pay them to work at the jobs they've been hired to do. Mnuchin is absolutely correct. It's exactly what has to happen, or otherwise nobody's going to go back to work. They're just going to wait, go check the mailbox. The only job they're going to have is looking at the mailbox every day to see if their check has come in. This is not a way to build a great America. I understand people had to have some temporary relief because the government shut them down.
Sure.
So the government's paying them. But the jobs are back. In many cases, people have to go back to work. That's simple.
Yeah, and anyone that I think that tries to claim it's a mean-spirited approach, I think it's more mean-spirited to have people sitting at home, never being part of our economy, never getting on the ladder of success, never even using those skills that they may have that they haven't been able to tap into. I think that's a greater sin against the American working public.
You've made a great point, and I'll tell you who it's a sin against. It's a sin against those people who did get up early today, got dressed, went to work, and their taxes are going to have to pay for the people who slept till noon and went to the mailbox. That's why you can't have an economy based on people getting paid more to not work than they get paid to work, especially if their job is available. Unemployment is to be for people who can't go to work for whatever reason, not for people who just don't want to.
Governor, let me squeeze this in. J.B. Pritzker, Governor, ruled on Friday that they'd like to have some punishment for businesses that are trying to open up right now, maybe a criminal charge, maybe fines, even possibly jail. What do you make about some of these heavy-handed approaches that these governors are taking towards small businesses that want to survive?
I think some of these governors need some punishment in the form of getting unelected. My gosh, what kind of idiocy runs in these people's veins when they think that a business opening up is a criminal act? That's a pretty bizarre thing. It's one thing to say, okay, you have curfews, and so you violate it. We're going to fine you a few $100. But to say you're going to criminally charge somebody because they're trying to feed their families, God help us when that becomes America, because I don't recognize it as America anymore.
I got to go, but real quick, yes or no on 2 Twitter questions. Can you drink the milk after you've eaten the cereal? And does the 5-second rule still apply when you drop food?
I'm glad you read my Twitter account, and the answer is yes, you can, just don't let your wife see it.
Okay, thanks a lot, Governor. Always appreciate your sage advice.